just wanted to talk a bit about the transfer window coming up this summer, and the fact that Killie have only really got 5 sort of players, under contract, following the end of this season. And I just wanted to get your take on who the sort of 3, if you had to pick sort of 3 key players to try and get on long-term contracts between now and the end of the season, who would that sort of be? I know that Alan Power is one of the ones that is under contract, so he's perhaps not one of the ones that would be chosen. But if you had to choose sort of 3 ones who you'd say, we need to get them signed up, they are so important to the sort of spine of this team, who do you think that would be?
Well, I would probably say there's one name that instantly comes to my mind, and you might be surprised based on my past opinions on it, but Aaron Tishbola is definitely up there as one of the players that I would like to see here for a little bit longer. He's played phenomenally. He's got a goal today. He's been linking up so nicely, and even when the team hasn't been playing at its best, he's always there. He's always just kind of chugging out performances every once in a while. I'm a big fan of Brandon Honstrup. Not sure what his contract situation is, but I like him. He's a good utility player. He could play centre back, left back, left mid, right mid. He could play anywhere. Really decent striker. So he would probably be a second one up there. And I don't know, maybe one of the strikers, perhaps like a Danny Whitehall. Although he's not been given a chance today, and perhaps he's away back into the cupboard now that George Oakley's here. He was good for us when he was here, and he's a nice, good secondary striker to have. So I'd probably name them as kind of 3 rough players.
Yeah, certainly interesting choices. The one that I'd go for, I think, he is out of contract in the summer, is Greg Kiltie. He's, I think we've said it before, but he's really the player that we need to build the team around over the next couple of years. He's going to be so important, and if we can keep him, he's only going to keep improving. Obviously not taking part in the last couple of games, but he's been phenomenal every time he's played in that number 10 position so far this season. If we can keep him playing there, keep him fit, and keep him improving, then he's going to be a huge star in the Premiership in the future, and maybe even get a big move to maybe a club down south in the next couple of years. But if we want him to stay at Killie, we need to get him signed up on that contract, and we need to do it in the next couple of weeks and months. Otherwise, you might see him sign a pre-contract with another team, which is the ultimate fear, because it means they go for basically nothing. So we just need to take a look at that. Apart from Greg Kiltie, Stuart Finlay as well, I think, although he's not maybe had his best season in a Kilmarnock shirt, I think he's so important. He's a real fan's favourite, and he knows exactly how everyone is at this club, and he's been here for a long time, and I think he can really go on to be a really good defender, if not already. He can just keep getting better and better, but we need him to be here long term, so getting him signed up would be really important. And I actually agree with you in terms of Aaron Tishbola as well. I think there was a bit of scepticism when he came back for the 3rd time. He'd had that spell out in Europe that didn't quite go to plan for him, but he's come back and he's been one of our most consistent performers this season so far, and he's been fantastic in certain games, and in a time when Dicker has been out with a long-term injury, and we've needed that sort of stability in central midfield, and Alan Power hasn't necessarily had his best season in a Kilmarnock shirt as well. He's really stepped up, and I think he's been absolutely fantastic in that regard. So those would be my sort of 3 main that I'd want signed up, as soon as possible. Out with that, the likes of Danny Rogers, maybe Brandon Honstrup as well, a good utility player in that regard. But certainly we need to start getting the bones of a team put together just now, because we can't really get to the end of the season with only 5 players under contract, and then you're basically starting a team from scratch.
Yeah, there's no cohesion, no anything really going on. It's a lot of money as well to spend on rebuilding a team. I definitely agree with you with Greg Kiltie. I feel like Greg Kiltie, although he's nearly scored a hat-trick in one of his last games, he's been scoring bits and bobs, but because of his injury, he always flies under everyone's radar, and it's quite unfortunate for him, because I do agree with you now that you've brought him back up, that he's a great talent, a good one for the future, and it's fingers crossed actually we can get him in. I feel like changing Danny Whitehall to Greg Kiltie now in my free.
Yeah, I'm going to say someone as well that might not go with all Killie fans, but I think Kirk Broadfoot is also someone that needs to be signed up long term pretty quickly. I don't know how many years he's got left in him in terms of before he retires, but certainly this season he's been our most consistent defender. He's been our best defender, and he's really led the team forward. He's captained the team a number of times in the absence of Gary Dicker, and I think he's been fantastic, to be honest, in that regard. And getting him signed up for another couple of years would be in the best interest of the club, and also the likes of, we were talking about this in the half, but Ibsen Rossi as well, getting him signed up. If we could get him either signed from Bournemouth or get him on another year long loan, would be really good for both parties. I think he's been a really good sort of stand-in. He's played across the back line so far this season, and he's been really solid every time he's played. So it'd be good for his development. It'd be good for the football club as well. So that'd be great to see also.